It can be very hard being out there on the streets, being diabetic. My main goal is to try to find food that's healthier for diabetics, so that way it doesn't affect my blood sugar at all. I've had hard times, good times, all around just a normal life. I got a lot more friends nowadays. People like me, apparently.
I remember driving home and getting a sandwich at an Arby's last year, and the young lady came out behind me to take a break. She was working the counter and was exhausted. She was at the end of this shift and then said something about having to go and work another job after that. Folks seem to have to work at least 2 jobs just to keep their heads above water.
Because of the way everything is going in the country today, a lot of the healthier stuff tends to be more expensive versus if you go and get a bag of chips or candy. If you're diabetic, you definitely want to stay away from most of the canned stuff because it does have a lot of sodium in it, and that can still be dangerous for a diabetic. By the time you get done eating it, you may have filled your stomach up, but it's nothing but stuff that you really shouldn't have. Sometimes I kind of slip up and I have a small chocolate bar. There's a lot of times if my sugar does go pretty high, I'm a lot slower. It does eventually affect me being able to speak or properly think. Sometimes I may just need a simple glass of water. A lot of people don't realize how good it actually is. I normally just look for something in my stomach so I don't go hungry. Because I know around the world there's a lot of people that are going hungry as we speak, and I don't believe anybody should go hungry. A lot of times you can just look at somebody and tell how hungry they actually are, and it's sad to see so many people to go hungry like that. A lot of bad things can happen whenever you don't eat, even if it's just a simple pack of crackers. Sometimes that could mean the world to somebody else. It may not be much, but at least you're not going completely hungry. I've met a couple that has 3 kids. They recently became homeless. One thing I've noticed is they will feed the kids before they will themselves. And eventually that's going to hurt them because they're not eating. They need to at least save a little bit for themselves, or else they'll be in the position to where they're not going to be able to take care of the kids anymore. Every child is different. It all depends on the child themselves and how they look at things. Some will start to ask questions. Sometimes they don't understand or even realize what's actually going on. I've been homeless for a while now. There's been times I've thought about giving up. Many times.
There was one man who came to us for the first time. He slowly but surely began to share with me of a health situation that has confined him to a wheelchair, of recently leaving incarceration, of how difficult it is to find housing. There's something about being around the table with people that is different than any other part of our week. We get to hear and share something in those moments that we don't in any other, and have experienced Jesus in those moments with a lot of people. Sometimes really tough moments, but sometimes really beautiful ones.
Some of the food that I eat, you don't necessarily have to cook before you eat it. Other times, they've got a microwave up at the bus station. A lot of gas stations have microwaves. If I'm here at work, I have an oven, and I also have the pasta cooker. It's just a means of looking at something and thinking, is there a way I can cook this right here without having to have an actual fire? If you know something that somebody else doesn't, exchange the information, help somebody else out. Sometimes you just gotta ask questions. If you're hungry, you need something to eat, or with being diabetic, there's eventually somebody out there that's gonna be able to help. The only thing I can really say is never give up. It can be very hard being out there on the streets, being diabetic, but where there's a will, there's a way. And I certainly got the will to survive.